S.A.Solly. You can change Sassol to S.A. Solly, and you can put it into an S.A. Solly bank account. I'll show you in a moment how easy it is to open an S.A. Solly bank account with identity theft. That is easy. This cheque that was stolen was for 105. This is South African rands, but it can be dollars. 105. It's a very small cheque to steal. But look what they do. 92,105. The nil becomes a 9. The dash becomes a 2. 92,105. So they changed the name on the cheque. They changed the amount. Don't forget, there's 28 days before the bank reconciliation that is done. They've got 28 days to get away with this. And don't forget that quite likely the person doing the bank reconciliation is the person who's stolen the cheque. Not always. Calligraphy is the art of letter writing. Fraudsters are very good at calligraphy, like the ancient Egyptians. They steal a cheque for 100. Look how easy it is to change it to 800. The narrative as well, 1 becomes 8. 2,000 becomes 5,000. That could be 2 million, becomes 5 million. 2 becomes 5. Can you see the red change? 7 is an easy one. 70 and 7 becomes 70. 13 becomes 33. 10 becomes 50. Very easy. They change the details on the cheques. These are some examples of some cheques that we found that went through the system. I spent a lot of time with Ernst & Young Forensics in South Africa. It was, when I was there, the capital of worldwide corruption on all the indices. And these were real cheques that went through the system. A cheque made payable to Nestlé was changed to this name. This was a South African name. Samcor. Samcor was a life assurance company, was changed to this. Eskom is an electricity generating company, was changed to this very long name and put into the bank account. Anybody from KPMG here? I've got no doubt. KPMG, trading as Kind People Made Good. And they opened an account called Kind People Made Good and put it into that account. PPC is a cement company. They changed that to Mr. PP Carstens. And interestingly enough, this is a real signature on a fraudulent cheque. It says, I screwed you. And it went through the system. These bank staff, these girls on the counters and who are processing in the clearing houses of the cheque clearing, they have 3 or 4 seconds to review each cheque. They're not highly paid people. They don't go through a lot of training. These cheques go through the system. And that's an interesting point. If you're a banker and a cheque goes through your bank and a good forensic accountant deems that you were negligent, you should have spotted it, you can be sued for the loss, for not picking up the loss. So that's a lot of forensic investigative work that we do, looking at guilty parties in terms of negligence on behalf of the bank. A couple of cheques here. These are real cheques that we've seen go through the system. This was a cheque payable to the South African Revenue Services, the tax people in South Africa, for over R1 million. Somebody in the mail room, of the mail receiving room, is a syndicate member. They stole this cheque, along with 7 or 8 other that day. They scratch out South African Revenue Services, the tax authority, they scratch it out with a hypodermic needle. It leaves a scratch mark. They put crosses over the scratch mark to hide it, and they type over it Gruntel SA Limited. It's a company that they have set up a bank account with. And they deposit the cheque into a Gruntel bank account. Simple as that. They did this for 7 or 8 cheques on this day and got away with all of them. Again, with the collusion of people in the finance department to delay the daily reconciliations they were supposed to do. Let's have a look at another cheque. This cheque for 755,461 payable to a company called JCI Limited. There's the amount. This is the cheque that goes through the bank. 755,000 to a totally different organisation. This is the fraudster's account. The cheque is totally different. This is another technique in cheque fraud. The fraudster will steal a cheque or a chequebook or a few cheques, will throw them away. He has his own chequebook, totally separate, totally different design, but it's got the same cheque numbers, same account numbers, same details on. He puts Mickey Mouse cheques through the bank. Another cheque fraud this is the cheque that's issued to Southern Metropolitan for 1,747. You can see it actually goes through the bank down here as 41,747. They put a 4 in front of it. Again, the name changes from this beneficiary to the fraudster's name, or the account in the fraudster's name. This cheque fraud is quite different. They put a black block over the writing. They block it out in black. And then they type on the black block in white. You can read here, this fraudulently negotiated payment stopped. The bank picked that up. Their programming stops any cheque with black blocks on it. Another cheque, just one more to have a look at. Payable to BP for 3,890. It goes through the bank as this one at the bottom. Can you see the amount becomes 33,890? Very easy to insert a 3 there. Very cleverly, they type asterisks over the name here. There they are. Asterisks hide it and type in the middle. So they type the amount in the middle. This writing was at the top. They can easily take that out at the top and type in underneath it, which they've done. You can see this cheque has got faults on it. It's got a gap here. It's got a big gap underneath. So the guy in the syndicate that values the cheque would value that cheque quite highly. You understanding this? Yeah. This is deemed to be a secure cheque. Secure cheques are made of a very sensitive paper. Very difficult to change this. If there's any changes on this cheque, it will be revealed on the paper. It's very easy to see. It puts the bank in a very sensitive and difficult position. Because any cheque that goes through that's got obvious changes on it, the bank can be accused of negligence. So it's very sensitive cheques. The paper is very soft. Instead of ink just sitting on the paper, it goes into it. Who is this man? Anybody recognise this gentleman? I'll give you a clue. 1930s, Chicago, America. Gangster. Al Capone. Very good. Al Capone. Why is he smiling? Why is Al Capone smiling? Do you know that Al Capone went to jail? Do you know what he got jailed for? Tax fraud. Excellent. He went to jail for about 6 years or 6.5 years for tax fraud. Why is he smiling? This is his profit and loss account for 1930. Beverage division, $65 million he made from illegal liquor. Rather like here in Chicago in those times, it was illegal to trade in liquor. Gaming was gambling, that was illegal. Entertainment was prostitution. Insurance was racketeering, extortion. $100 million in 1 year in 1930 was big money. This was Al Capone's income from his corruption, from his corrupt activities, from his criminal activities. He had to find a way of legitimizing this. He opened a chain of laundromats, laundries. These were on the high streets and industrial areas in Chicago. They had big machines going round and round with lots of washing powder and soap in. They never washed anything. Never. Every night he would go and put $10,000 in each till from this money. He then told his accountant to go around and collect the income from all the laundromats, 13 laundromats in Chicago, and book it as income from laundromats. It was really from his criminal activities. This is where the phrase money laundering started. It's true. Money laundering started from Al Capone's laundromats in the 1930s. His accountant got inspected by the IRS, that's the tax people in America, and he got investigated. All this money coming from laundromats, we want tax on it. And that's how Al Capone got arrested. Is that an interesting story? Right, these two people steal a cheque from Coopers & Lybrand. This is a man and a woman. They work in the mailing departments at Coopers & Lybrand, some time ago, because it's now called PwC, for $135,000. They sit at home in the evening and they look at this cheque and they decide, how are we going to get the cash out of this cheque? They decide they have to put it in a bank account. So they go to a specific street corner in Johannesburg, but you have street corners here as well, where they take a photograph of themselves and they take 20, 30 US dollars and they can buy an ID book or a passport. Here they are. These ID numbers are valid of people who have actually died.